So let's just get right into it. We are hearing about AI constantly, right? But the real question, the one that matters, is how is it actually going to change the work we do every day? And, maybe more importantly, where do we fit in all of this? In this explainer, we're going to dig into the insights from futurist Gerd Leonhard to try and get some real answers.
To figure out where we're headed, you first have to understand the weird way that change happens now. And Gerd Leonhard just nails it with this quote. For what feels like forever, a lot of this tech, AI, machine learning, it was all kind of bubbling under the surface in labs. And then, bam! All of a sudden, it's everywhere.
I mean, think about this. This is that gradually, then suddenly idea in real life. Leonhard talks about his own experience getting into a Waymo, a completely driverless car. He says he honestly didn't think it'd be possible for years and years. And yet, there it was, just cruising through San Francisco like it was no big deal. That's the future showing up on your doorstep.
And that leads us to the first thing Leonhard says we absolutely have to get our heads around. We need to understand the incredible, non-human scale of this change. Our brains, well, they just aren't built to think this way.
See, Gerd Leonhard really hammers this point on exponential change. We learn one step at a time, right? Linearly. But AI's power is doubling and then doubling again. So in just 5 years, we're not looking at something 5 times better, but potentially 32 times more powerful. In 10 years, over 1,000 times. It's just mind-boggling. And that's exactly why he warns that just waiting to see what happens is, well, it's a fatal strategy.
So what does this crazy exponential power actually look like at the office? Well, Leonhard points to these studies, and they're pretty eye-opening. For the routine, data-heavy stuff, the kind of work a paralegal or an office admin does, AI is like a supercharger. It makes those roles 4 to 5 times more efficient. Now, that isn't just a little productivity hack. That's a complete game changer for how that work gets done.
I love this analogy from Leonhard because it makes it so clear. He says that think of AI like a nail gun for a carpenter. It makes the job way, way faster. Obvious, right? But then he hits you with the really important question. What happens when that nail gun has an IQ of 5,000? And that's where things get interesting. And that question brings us right to the absolute core of Gerd Leonhard's whole argument. If we're not going to win a fight based on raw computing power, then where do we provide value? His answer is simple. We need to go all in on the stuff that is unique, completely human.
And here it is, the big difference Leonhard draws. Machines, they run on cold, hard logic, probability, calculation. They process data. That's it. But us, we operate on a whole different level. Consciousness, empathy, values, imagination. As Leonhard puts it, machines can calculate, but they can't care. That feeling, that purpose, that's our turf.
So what does this actually mean for your job title? Leonhard says our professional value is shifting. The skills that are going to matter most in the future are what he cleverly calls androrhythms, the opposite of algorithms. Stuff like empathy, real creativity, the ability to build trust with someone, to make a tough ethical call, or to inspire a team. You can't write code for that.
So, this is the bottom line. This is Gerd Leonhard's message boiled down to its essence. The way forward isn't to try to be more efficient like a machine. It's to be more human. If your job is just a series of repetitive, predictable steps, well, a robot is coming for that job. Our mission is to be the opposite of a robot.
Okay, so if we're not trying to compete with machines, how are we supposed to work with them? Leonhard's got a framework for this, and it's all about building a new kind of partnership, one that's centered on this really powerful idea. Augmentation, not just automation.
Leonhard calls this partnership model the Kava framework. And here's the key part he always stresses. Everyone is obsessed with the last A, automation. Job-stealing robots, right? But he says that's just a tiny piece of the story. The main event, according to Leonhard, is the other A, augmentation, using AI as a tool to make us smarter, better, and more capable at our jobs.
And to really prove his point, Leonhard brings up this famous and kind of terrifying quote from AI pioneer Geoffrey Hinton. Back in 2017, the fear was real. The experts were saying that since AI is so good at spotting patterns, jobs like radiology were basically toast. This was the absolute peak of the AI is taking all our jobs panic.
So, what happened? Here's the punchline. Today, radiologists are very much still working. But now, as Leonhard explains, they use AI as this incredible co-pilot. It helps them spot things they might miss, making them more accurate and letting them do their job better. They weren't replaced, they were augmented. It's the perfect real-world example of his whole argument. So, how do we take all of this and actually apply it to our own careers? This might be the most important takeaway from Gerd Leonhard. The future is not something that just washes over us like a tidal wave. We get to choose how we engage with it.
Leonhard uses the example of a lawyer to show what this looks like. The old role was about being the legal expert, the gatekeeper of information who avoids risk. The future lawyer? Totally different. They're a tech navigator, an expert implementer, a strategist, an ethicist, and an AI master who knows how to use these tools responsibly. This isn't just a small shift, it's a complete reinvention of the role.
And that really brings us to the final and most empowering message from Gerd Leonhard. The choice is up to us. We can be passive and let this whole thing happen to us, or we can be the architects. We can learn, adapt, and use these incredible new powers to build a better future for ourselves and for everyone we work with.
So let's end with a real brain bender that Gerd Leonhard loves to pose. It's called the black box problem. Imagine an AI gives you advice that seems absolutely perfect, but you have no idea how it got to that conclusion. It's a black box. Now, if you use that advice and it backfires, the liability, the responsibility, it's all on you. This isn't just a fun thought experiment anymore. This is the new reality we have to figure out, blending that machine intelligence with our own human wisdom. So, what would you do?